FT Spring Training Tour. How we doing? Kratz in the sunshine. Todd Father in the lab. Me in parts known, Brooklyn. Kratz, how's beautiful Jupiter?
I mean, it is nice. I honestly, all the time that I spent 4 games in Jupiter, this entire East Coast. So this is all new for me. 4 games in high A. I sat on the bench and watched games, but this is all new for me out here. The sun is definitely brighter over here.
Yeah, it is. They pay for that. They get brighter sunshine in Jupiter. Todd Father, you want me to show you the schedule that we've got running for the next couple weeks?
Let's check it out.
Okay. You want to tell the people? Run them through the calendar for the people that only do the ear part later on, the podcast people, because we've got – I'll give you the rest of this week.
Okay.
Tomorrow is Friday, so that's the end of the week. That's Mets camp. Today is Cardinals camp, so we'll talk to some Cardinals later on. And then next week's a party. We got a lot running. I don't know if we're going to look at it yet, but maybe later. Yeah, we'll look at it later. Great. Fantastic. How about this? I promise you we'll show it later. Let's charge the damn mound. Kratz, is Bryce Harper okay? Is Philadelphia okay?
I think they're going to be fine. The old elbow to the face, 92-mile-an-hour speed ball when you thought it was going to be a breaking ball, I think it'll be okay. It's just a bruise. The X-rays came back negative, so exhale.
Those are scary. Those are scary. I mean, listen. People are going to be like, oh, it's 92 miles an hour. No, I mean, any pitch, even a breaking ball, if it hits the right spot, it's going to do some damage, the spin on the ball. Bruises are good. We don't mind bruises, for anybody. So whether it's Bryce Harper or anybody else, that was way up there too. And you can see Lovelady was, he was distraught a little bit. He knew he made a mistake, and that's part of the game, of course. And this ball was really, really close to the chin. And it got him on a good piece of the, forearm, arm area, popped his helmet off too, as we're seeing here. Scary moment. Lefties got to control a little bit, and sometimes it gets away. But that is baseball. Hopefully he'll be okay.
I think the key that you brought up there, Todd Father, was close to the chin, right? I mean, that could have been a lot worse if it was just a hair, up, down, left, right. It was close. It was close to becoming a problem.
And this is the stuff this is the part about spring training that you don't like, because guys are just starting to get back. Then you get a minor leaguer that comes in that really hasn't pitched. I'm not saying he is, but you get these guys coming in, that aren't totally 100% effective. When I mean effective, throwing strikes. And some guys as well come in and you're like, all right, man, I just want to see some pitches here, see maybe a little tilt on a breaking ball, and then boom, one comes up and in on the chin area. Scary little moment, but, hopefully it's something that doesn't happen too often here in spring training.
When Bryce Harper is going to see lefties, you're trying to get used to seeing lefties for the regular season. What do you have to do when you're left on left? You got to keep that front shoulder in. And I know he even opened up a little bit on it, but that was because it's just a last second reaction. But he's trying to stay as close as he possibly can this early. I got to be extreme with it so I can stay on that breaking ball. And, it happens, but you almost kind of want to get it out of the way. I remember Brandon Moss used to come into live batting practices. We played together for 3 straight seasons. And he goes, I want the first dude in live BP, before games even start, I want the first dude to hit me. So Joe Blanton came in there, and Joe's like, what? You want me to do what? He goes, hit me. He goes, are you serious? He goes, yeah, I have to realize that it hurts, but I'll be okay. So Joe's like, all right, cool. First one comes inside and misses him. He's like, Brandon Moss goes, yeah, you almost got me. Next one, and everybody, all the fans are watching. They all go, oh, and Moss is like, he goes, looks at him, he goes, thanks. Obviously, always positive, but man, you got to get it out of the way. Not the way that Harper wanted to get it out of the way.
So Brandon Moss is Happy Gilmore.
He's definitely 365 more days. Wait, 364 more days till next hockey season.
Wait, but doesn't Happy at one point go into the batting cage and just gets hit?
That's what he says.
I'm just giving more detail for the kiddos who probably don't even know the movie at this point. But
he's a hockey player. He's a hockey player that ends up playing golf. And then you sit there and he's in the batting cage after hockey tryouts, which he got cut by because he got in a fight during hockey tryouts. And he goes, stands in there in a pitching machine and just lets the ball hit him. 364 more days till next hockey season. So, yeah, that's Brandon Moss.
Got to toughen up. That's awesome. That's a good story. Todd, Father, do you know any psychos like that?
Yes, there's a bunch out there, and you always want those guys on your side. That one, you get it from all levels, starting from high school on. You're like, all right, well, we know this guy's probably not going to play, but we want him on our side in case all hell breaks loose. So there are some guys out there that eat, sleep, drink baseball, whatever sport they play, and that's the guy I want on the bench when somebody gets hit or whatever, and he's firing up the bench and that kind of stuff. So, yes, they're out there, all different types of them.
And I do want to point out that Harper's had close calls and he's had actual calls in the last few years. So in 2022, left thumb broken, hit by pitch, surgery, returned a couple months later. 2021, hit in the face, not a serious facial injury, not a concussion, but went on the IL a month later with an injured left forearm. And apparently back then took a little time to get comfortable in the box again. So Kratz, all of Philly kind of holds their breath for a guy that they love dearly out there, right? I mean, give me the Bryce Harper story in Philadelphia, aside from the fact that he hasn't brought him a title. He's no Jalen Hurts yet.
There's constantly, what have you done for me lately in Philly? And he's a guy that has escaped that. He's a guy, they don't even bring up the fact that he hasn't brought him a title yet. He's brought him pretty close. Like, he's got a pass in Philly right now because he's performed. He's come through in huge moments in the playoffs. And that's all they remember. MVPs are cool, but to be on that upper echelon, to be in that top 5, that Mount Rushmore top 4 in Philly, he wins a championship. He'll never dethrone Mike Schmidt unless he wins 2 championships. But to go from being a Nat that got a national, that got hit by Cole Hamels and everyone was like, boo, Bryce Harper, to signing in Philly and being what he is in that city, it's been unbelievable because it is a tough city that doesn't deal with ups and downs of baseball very well. And everybody's going to have those. This dude has been nothing but their favorite. I mean, he is the guy there, and you see threes all over the stadium wearing his jersey.
That's right. Number 1 goal of spring training, in most cases, keep your superstars healthy and on the field, please. I know you can't control where the baseball is coming from, certain pitchers on the mound, but Bryce did not look pleased with Mr. Lovelady on that one. So anyway, we'll step aside. We'll get ready for some Cardinals players to join us soon and also run through some other spring training action next. All right, FT fam, collectors, there is a new, better way to buy, sell, trade, or display your sports cards. It's called Arena Club. And Kratz, I know you love it. The FT fam's got to go to arenaclub.com/foul to sign up and get a little extra something I'll tell you about in a moment. But buying in the past was clunky.
It wasn't easy. But now you don't have to worry about any of the shipping. And it's easy right there. It's guaranteed authentic too for me, so I don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. Arena Club uses blockchain technology to deliver your card immediately. There's no shipping delays. You don't lose your card in transit. There's no, oh, my dog ate the card and now you don't have it, so here's a different one instead. So right now, 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul. Use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul. Code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase. Hey, tomorrow we'll talk more about Arena Club, YouTube fam. Okay, we did a little something yesterday, or not yesterday, last week.
What's up, Lugan?
Talked about legacies
Go hit
for
a dinger.
Soto, legacies for
Hit a punch.
Judge,
Yeah.
and some other
'em all.
superstars now that affects cards. So we'll get into that tomorrow. Look forward to that. Obviously, go check out these slab packs. arenaclub.com/foul. We all have cards. We'll show them off tomorrow. Pulled some biggies, some interesting ones. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm not going to say anything yet until tomorrow. Actually, AJ pulled a really cool one. All right. Anyway,
AJ's is really cool.
It is. It is very cool. I'm sure he showed it off to you already. Mine is interesting. I'm just going to put it at that. Interesting person that I pulled on a card. Kratz, who are you talking to for the YouTube fan? Give us a 1 minute behind the scenes of what's happening in Jupiter. Who do you expect? We're not holding you to this because we know how it works.
No doubt. I mean, everybody's schedule is meeting with this guy. Back guys are here. Got to play. I talked to Jordan Walker. Would love to come on. His schedule is pretty tight until 12:15. Jordan and Mason Wynn both played yesterday, so they're like not real sure. But Oli Marmol's slowly working his way out here, so we might get the manager on. He's not sure. He's smiling right now, but I was talking to Pajes. I was talking to Weatherholt. I was talking to Miles Michaelis, who has a meeting that he has to do himself. It's just exciting to talk to all these guys, and they're excited to hop on. Not sure of the schedules. Everyone's like looking at us. Is this fair? Is this not fair? But I think Ollie's going to join us here. I think he is. He's so good looking in person. How are you, sir?
Oh, perfect. All right, so in 20 seconds or so, we'll have Oli Marmol. Hey, here we go. Behind the scenes, but also live on TVs and YouTube and everything else, everywhere else. Oli Marmol, the St. Louis Cardinals skipper, getting all set up. Can't wait for him to hear us, too. So, Kratz, you're going to do the intro since he's going to hear us soon, but I'd like you to say hi to him since you're actually sitting right next to him, and you can ask him a question.
You can say all the bad stuff until he can hear you, and then once he can hear you, see the earpiece will – we got all. There we go. Now we'll see if you can hear him, but Oli Marmol, the Jefe, the manager –
how we doing?
The St. Louis Cardinals.
Awesome.
No, you don't hear anything yet. Sweet. Scotty, Todd. See, we got.
Yeah,
Scott
we'll give
Braun.
him a little test.
You guys hear him?
You got us?
You don't hear him yet? Here, we got to turn your piece on there. We'll turn it on. Now try a little Scotty Too Hottie.
Hey.
All right.
Let's go. Okay. Oli, good to see you. Yeah, we're good. We're good. I don't want to do the classic house camp intro, so I got to try to think of something else. How about this? Just random, but it was news and we were there yesterday. What do you think of the Yankees facial hair policy going away?
Is that what we're going straight to that, huh?
Straight.
I don't know. Just like something random versus like house camp.
More of seeing it. Man. Yeah, the house camp question's kind of tired.
It is. I'd rather not comment on a policy for another organization. That's a crappy answer, but I'm sticking to it.
When you see Todd, you see Todd on the screen,
yeah.
What do you think of when you see Todd Frazier on the screen?
He looks better with a beard. Yeah.
He looks better with a beard, so there you go.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, man.
Doubt.
Now,
okay?
I'll go first. Yeah, everything's great, man. Everything's great. Can't complain on here. Talking to you guys. Wish I was out there with you, battling with the boys. I wanna first talk about, when you're in spring training as a manager, I know you before anything starts, you have your meetings, everything, this and that, but you have to portray a message to your team. And I think, with all the off-season stuff, the buzz about Arenado, the buzz about, all these different players, give me your message right away to the boys here and during the first, meeting in camp, when everybody's together. Like what's like the first couple things you say to the guys here? Is it different every year, or you try and keep to the same storyline?
No, there's some common themes that you stick to that are just what we're about as an organization, but every year it changes based on personnel and how the previous year went and what you're wanting to place emphasis on moving forward. I mean, this year's pretty simple. It's us against the world, man. expectations on the outside are what they are, but this group truly believes in what's inside that building right now. So they're coming together as a group really well. Even today, man, probably one of my favorite days on the field, seeing these guys go at it and do their defense together as a group. But it's going to be fun. I like this group. There's a lot of youth. There's a lot of energy and guys that are looking to leave their mark on this org. So I'm excited about what we're seeing right now.
Talking about leaving a mark on the org, like you talk about, okay, veteran guys showing rookie guys what to do, all that stuff is cool, but like until you actually do it, do something, like you can't even, it's just words to some of these rookie guys. And now early in the camp, y'all freaking go over 4 hours, and how much does it mean to you as a manager when you see, did five vets make the trip?
And that's the thing, like they ask for it, right? You plan out their week and you go up to the off day, which is Monday, and say, this is what I have for you. And a couple of them came in and said, that's great, but I want to go on this trip. And usually you let those guys stay back, get some live BP on the backfield. But they're wanting to get out there and compete and be a group. And that's what's going to make this thing go, right? Like you've been on teams that you have some talent, but they don't come together and you just do okay. And then there's certain teams, man, where it becomes a family and you get after it. And there's times where things don't go well, but you still come together as a group and it ends up playing out okay. So I like the way it's shaping up so far, man.
But if the vets are doing that,
no doubt,
ain't no rookie that can be like, dude, I gotta ride the bus. I gotta go over.
I'd love
there.
to hear it.
Like, did you see any comments? Like, you know how it's like, all right, we got 2 games over there now, Dunedin, nobody's gonna be at that game. Yankees, some people can get kind of excited about for whatever reason. But like, did you see any of that? Did you see like less complaining than you thought you would?
I didn't hear an ounce of complaining on the entire trip, the Dunedin trip, and then the Tampa. I mean, I can't think of one guy where they didn't want to be there. I mean, we're ready to play. We've had a good offseason. Now it's time to go. So 0 from anybody, to be quite honest.
Now we're talking about, obviously, the facial hair thing was kind of funny, but I'm talking about Paul Goldschmidt, who's over there now. Yeah. What does he mean to you? Because I read a story. Yeah. What does he mean to you? And I'll let you say whatever you want about Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, there's certain dudes that are on a completely different list of great players, but incredible humans. And he's unreal, man. There's to be as good as he is, what he looks for off the field, just opportunities to make sure people are taken care of. That's the simplest way put. It's just he's constantly looking for, it doesn't matter if it's player, rookie, veteran, staff member, training staff. He's constantly looking for opportunities to take care of people. And if you ask him about it, he probably hated me telling that story because he just doesn't want anybody knowing about it. He's been blessed, and he really takes the stance of like, I'm going to make sure that I can do that for other people. But he's been incredible to me. Obviously enjoyed managing him. And I wish him nothing but the best over in New York, but he's an absolute stud of a person.
Can I have you tell the story? Because I kind of alluded to it.
Sure. And it's, I have 2 daughters. In 2019, when Kylie was born, he knew that I was going to kind of be on the road. We had a stretch of games that was going to be tough and a lot of travel. And my wife already had a 2-year-old on her hands. And it came out of nowhere, but he came up and he said, hey, listen, you can't say no to this. I've already hired a night nurse. She's going to come to the house every day while we're on the road, and you have nothing to worry about. And this isn't a matter of you saying yes or no, like it's done. So things like that, where he's just so thoughtful and intentional with everything, man, to think about, I need you to be focused, and I know your wife's going to be tired, so I've already taken care of that. Like, that's unreal. So it makes you think about what opportunities am I missing that I can take care of, right? So that's always stuck with me, and I'm constantly now looking for those type of opportunities to take care of our staff and our players. So he means the world to me, man. He's an absolute stud. Yeah,
it's awesome.
So that's really, really cool. So the organization has actually come out and said they're going to be rebuilding with the younger players. Does that kind of switch up your approach, your message towards things at all?
Not entirely, man. Like when you think about the minor leagues and development, and that's where I came through. And a lot of our staff, when you look at their background, they have that that part of them in them where they came up through our system, developing players. You want to develop winning players, and so the message doesn't change at all, man. We're going to strive to create a winning culture in that clubhouse and go win as many ball games as possible. Will we allow a certain runway or longer runway to some of these young guys to make sure that at the end of this year we have clarity as to who they are and what they can do and what they can't do? Absolutely. But the message of going out there and competing all 9, that doesn't change at all.
What? So you're talking about the young guys. I want to go to the J.J. Weatherholt thing. One of the guys I talked to, by the way, the dude's like a mini like Tyler O'Neill. He is jacked.
Yeah.
I saw him hit his Oppo tank the other day.
Yeah.
So obviously, baseball-wise, let me fix this for you. Baseball-wise, he's got the skills.
Yeah.
His presentation in front of Ozzie Smith, is that like one of those things that – do you guys do more of that stuff? Is that initiated by you, the vets?
No, actually, the Scalzo wanted those guys to Chase Davis and JJ to present to the group and just give a little brief history on Ozzie and on David Freese, who they were both here in person to listen to it, but they did a phenomenal job. But both presented well. But JJ's on it, man. This guy is. I don't like talking about the young guys before they get to us and setting any type of expectations, but. He's a special talent in the way he thinks about the game, the way he approaches his day. He's not fazed by a whole lot, man. I've been watching him closely, and he's intentional with everything he does throughout the day. And you sit back and you watch him, and there's something about him that makes you think he's going to be doing this for a very long time. Yeah.
Is that tough for you when you know like what the org thinks of somebody, and then he comes into camp and you're getting eyes on him, and you're like, I think you guys are off. Like, this guy might be better than, the little intangible things like being on time, being, aware of what a pitcher's like, locked in when other rookie guys are like jacking around on the bench.
No, I mean, you get as much intel from the guys that have been around them and lived with them, and then certain scouts, and you just take all of that to make your own decision on the guy, man. So it's good to have that intel and then to sit back and watch them early in camp and see how they go about their business. Up to this point, it's been pretty impressive.
Quinn Matthews. His outing, 2 days ago.
2 days ago,
with Toronto.
Yeah, did a nice job. Got into some trouble and got out of it. Big arm, and same thing. Not fazed by a whole lot. I mean, you sit back and you watch these young guys and you see how they react to certain comments, and at times you try to kind of say things to see kind of how they react to it, and he isn't fazed. There's something to being young and not caring, and when I say that in a positive way, like, man, I'm not going to make this any bigger than it is. I know what I bring to the table. I'm going to have my ears open and make adjustments, but I'm not going to make this any bigger than it is. And both those guys have done a nice job of that.
What about a guy like Sonny Gray, who came in last year, was kind of like, was a vet, but you had some vets. You brought a lot of vets in, so he's kind of, now he's, in my opinion, a guy with no trade probably chose to come back here. That seems like that should be a huge value for you guys. Not only the fact that he's going to not just eat innings, but he's elite. And this dude playing with him, I know what he brings to the table.
Yes, there's a certain mentality to this guy that's special. You want your young guys to walk in and watch his every move, because there's a reason for everything he does, from the time he walks into the clubhouse to the training room to how he goes about his bullpens to prepping for a game. There's like a competitive nature to everything he does, where you want guys mimic. You want them to mimic that. So him saying, I want to be here for this transition period is meaningful to my seat for sure. And I know the fans absolutely love it.
I have one more question. I'm curious.
Yeah, go for it.
You guys have your meetings before and after game. As you see, this is my trend about meetings. But is there a guy, I know it's early in camp, but is there a young cat right now where you guys afterwards, when you come together, like, I want to see more of this guy. Like, this guy, he could help us in the long run, or this guy, he might be somebody halfway during the season or a month in that we're going to need him to come up here, spark a plug in this team and go out there and dominate. There's been a young guy out there right now that's been like, wow, I didn't know really much about him. Now I kind of figured.
I think JJ fits into that, not so much as that, man, we got to see him so he can break camp with us, as much as like, there's something special about this kid. I want to see him as much as possible, because you want to see them do well, but you also want to see them fail a little bit. You want to see them run into some trouble and see how they come through that and how they react to it. So that's been fun. And then from the left side, the Jerpy kid, we've seen him in the past, but there's some funk to him. So seeing him in shorter stints so far, it's been interesting, and definitely want to see more of that as well.
What does what does the Nolan and Wilson changing position, what is that like dynamic? How does that change for you in the sense of like you had to do that work ahead of time? You had to talk to Wilson ahead of time.
Yeah.
And now that they're in camp, how has it changed like your relationship with those guys?
He's a pro. I remember the first call where we sat down and kind of like walked through it. And his exact words were, I'm a team guy and I'll do anything to stay here and help this club. I don't want to talk about doing this somewhere else. And if that's at first base in order to keep me healthy for 162 and giving the young guys a shot behind the plate, then I'm in. So the conversation was super simple. There was no pushback. And this guy's a pro. Like, he's handled adversity well after coming over to us. So that conversation, I don't want to say it was easy, but he made it easy.
When you when you bring in guys like John Jay from other organizations,
love him.
You can't not love him. I mean, the guy's got the perfect runway of baseball. Like, he went to Miami. His wife's from St. Louis. Yeah. She was in Miami. Then he coached in Miami. Yes. Like, this guy's just. Do you just feel like you just picked up gold and like perfection when you pick up John Jay?
Yes. Like, you want to make sure you fill in certain holes from a staff standpoint and based on the personnel. Like, the players coming through, young guys, who's going to relate best with them. John Jay has been incredible. Even though, like, I gave him some love today as I was out there and they were finishing up their work because, man, it's fun to watch him. Just the way he's direct, but he has a relationship with these guys. Even in the offseason, like, he'd come down and work with Walker and Ciani and Victor Scott and those guys. So he's built that relationship with them where he can be direct and challenge them and tell Newbar, hey, that's not good enough. Like, let's do it again. And there's no pushback because they know that he cares, right? And he has the credibility of playing for 10 years in the league. So, man, just the overall package of who he is and what he brings to the table and the way he's gone about the work with the outfielders this spring has been absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Is this your fourth or fifth season as manager?
This will be my fourth as manager. Yeah.
What surprised you the most about being a manager, that you watched it from afar and now you become a manager and you've pretty much managed through everything?
Gosh, I've seen a couple guys come through when I was the first base coach for Matheny and then when I was the bench coach for Schulte. And when you're in the bench coach position, you're the person that they kind of vent to. And I would always kind of sit there and go, man, don't worry about the media. Don't worry about the fans. And then you get in this seat and you're like, damn, that's real. Like, you feel it, right? So I would say that's probably the thing that's probably most misunderstood about the position, at least for me. Yeah.
Enjoy that part of it?
I do. I don't mind it.
Okay.
I enjoy the pressure. I love that our city's a baseball city, man. They care about everything we do and everything's important. It's what gets me up in the morning. And I've said it before, but I mean it. If I were doing it in a city where they didn't care as much as St. Louis, I'd have a hard time doing it. So I welcome that accountability and pressure. It's what gets me going. Yeah.
Love it. That's cool. Yeah, you're fortunate. You're in a great spot. Oli, I got one more for you. Okay,
yeah,
so towards the end of last year, there was articles about the team's player development and the staff and how, hey, they wanted to boost it up again. So can you walk us through if that's felt now and what that looks like? And I guess the secondary part of this is that more for minor league talent, or would that also be helpful for major league talent, like, say, Mason Wynn? Can that help take someone like him from great player to superstar player?
Yeah. The way it was described a lot leading into the offseason was more on the player development side in the minor leagues. And I'll tell you that the investments that were made, not only in manpower, but technology, in catching up to the league and then positioning ourselves to lead the league again in that department. Like, when you think of the St. Louis Cardinals, man, like, all the way back, it's an innovative organization. And we got to the point where we knew we have to make certain investments in order to get to where we want to get to. So it is felt. I'll tell you right now that this offseason and this spring training has been very different. We've hired a lot of people down below, and not just bodies, but some really intelligent dudes that know the game, that understand the modernization of the game, but are good baseball guys. And it's made a difference in how we can staff our stations, how we're looking at all the data coming in and making it simple and actionable. Like, there's a big difference in how we are approaching this year compared to the previous year. So some of the changes that have been made up to this point are definitely felt on the minor league side, and we're feeling it on the big league side. The collaboration with Mo and the farm director and new assistant AGM from Heim all the way. I mean, the collaboration has been incredible with the big league staff and the minor league player development staff. So I feel great about where we are as an org right now and where we're headed. It's actually been pretty exciting.
So I want to go in a little baseball logistics here. We're talking about strike zone balls and strikes. Now, have you guys gone over like, hey, is the catcher mainly going to do it? Is the pitcher? Is the batter? Have you guys talked about anything like that yet? Because you only get 2 of them, so you got to be real specific. Are you going to wait till the end? Like that's going to be the in-game stuff that I'm really intrigued about.
No doubt. Here's the way we've positioned it up to this point is your big boys that are playing the first half of the game are the ones that haven't experienced it. The guys that are coming in later in the game when you would consider it to be more leverage are the guys that have already experienced the ABS. So I want our dudes in the front end, whether it's a meaningful spot in the game or not, to use it and just get feedback as to how they like it. We made it clear that pitchers are not good at challenging balls and strikes. They think everything's a strike, so we would prefer our catchers to be the one to do it. But overall, I'd rather Nato and Contreras and Don and those guys that haven't experienced ABS to be the ones to challenge and get a feel for it as we go through camp. That's the way we're looking at it at the moment.
Last one.
Yeah, go for it.
How much at Dr. Phillips, I call it Dr. Pepper High School.
So glad AJ's not here.
That's what we're getting to. How much, yeah, Scott says the same. How much is there just too much Pierzynski stuff there? And really, he's only played. You've managed. You've been essentially you've been his boss.
I have not been back to Dr. Phillips in a minute, so that's on me. I need to actually do that. He lives in Orlando, so he's there. But I need to do a better job of actually getting back there and being a part of what's going on.
Because
so.
AJ, just like they don't want the White Sox. He doesn't want the White Sox to win a World Series, so he can be the last one. He doesn't invite you back, so he's like, maybe Johnny Damon. Don't ask Oli.
Yeah, I saw him yesterday in the clubhouse. I told him it was good seeing him, but
yeah, it's okay to lie. Oli, I appreciate it. We appreciate you coming on.
You, babe.
Thanks for taking the
no
time.
Doubt.
Good luck this year. We'll be watching. FT, we're right back.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Oli.
This year, there's nothing holding you back from loving your hair again. Let Nutrafol target the key root causes of your thinning hair and help you grow stronger, healthier strands from within.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
Building a hair growth routine is simple. Purchase online, no prescriptions required. Automated deliveries and free shipping keep you on track. Plus, with a Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20%.
Start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol for a limited time. Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code FOUL. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL.
Right now I'm hitting Judgy second, just because we're very left-handed, especially with Giancarlo out. So I would say in that 3-hole, really, it depends who I lead off. So the 3-hole could be Jazz, it could be Belly. It could be different against a lefty, so I don't know yet.
What if somebody comes up to you and says, I got what it takes to hit behind Judgy? Would that change your view, or are you like, nah?
You got it? No. No, because I think they all have that.
No,
the ones that are
they don't all have it.
Yeah, Belly, Jazz.
You don't have 9 guys that could hit behind Judge.
No.
There's probably 4.
Yeah, but there's some you're not even thinking yet that might factor in, especially as the season unfolds. Okay. But I think it'll be Jazz or
Dominguez. That was a Dominguez.
Jazz.
That's what I was.
That was a Dominguez right there.
Jazz or Belly. Well,
who would I want? Or
Volpe's
you're just saying
off?
Jazz?
No, I'm saying versus a righty, say.
Yeah.
I would say
So
Jazz
they go
or
left, right,
Belly
left, right.
could be leading off, or Dominguez,
And then
or Austin Wells. I mean, so we'll see.
he has
Belly's
experience doing it.
Belly is the answer.
The box scores. Let's run through some things that you might have missed from spring training. We'll start with your boy, Todd Father, Mike Trout. Going long. You know, we had some interesting combos earlier this week. Woof. Nice swing. We had some interesting combos this week, Todd Father. You weren't here the other day, but Andrew McCutchen essentially said he should accept a good amount of DH time if he can, just to stay on the field and because Father Time hits us all. What are your thoughts on this swing and Trouty, having to look in the mirror and be like, damn, I am probably a top 10 hitter, but I got to figure out how to stay on the field?
Yeah, I don't think we're far from it. I think we've also heard putting him in one of the corner spots as well. Knowing him, I don't think he would want to do that, but I think he'd be up for it. Explaining, I think he wants to be that guy in center field that tracks the ball down. He feels like he still can do it. I know he still can do it, but will it be better for him in the long run? I mean, you still got to run. You're still in the outfield. You still got to find a way to, back up throws and go track down balls. I don't think it's far-fetched at all. I mean, listen, every 3-4 days, put him in a DH spot. I don't see that being a problem at all. I think he'll be fine with that, and I think it will only help him. Again, you are getting older, understandably. Do you want to be out there the whole time? Yeah, but you got to understand, too, you want to be out there for the full season. So I think there's going to be a lot of question marks on that. I think there's going to be a lot of talks and conversations, and he does. He kind of looks a little leaner, too, a little bit, not as big and, bulky as he is. I don't think he'll lose any power to that, and I think he's going to be just fine.
I think when somebody's hurt and like the narrative is always like, oh, if he just stays on the field, I think you start to forget like what kind of player he is. And so to see a homer this early, it puts people who are just kind of casual and like haters like back in their place. Don't forget he had a OPS plus of like 140, I think, last year. So you're sitting there going, this dude can still do it. How do we get 160 out of him? How do we get the best 150 out of him? Because when he's out there, you don't just fall into MVP awards. And he said it before when he was on the show, like, hey, you know what? I'm learning some new things that will keep me out on the field. So I'm excited to see what he can do because he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I mean, my bold prediction recently was MVP candidate Mike Trout, obviously, assuming you keep him on the field. And that's a reminder that the talent is still very much there. We haven't seen the talent dip off. You see that with certain players. That has not been the case. Some guys, it's like they can't stay on the field and you're not seeing the same guy anymore. That's most players that start to hit that. Not seeing that yet with Trout. So that's cool. Hopefully he's good to go. Okay, next up, Sugano. Debut for the Orioles, 2 scoreless. I think a lot's going to be riding on this dude. Kratzy is more of your crafty 6-pitch guy, command, control, low strikeout, but should give a very different look to hitters. I feel like sometimes this really works out and sometimes it really doesn't. So he was a stud. I mean, Japan Central League MVP, huge year overseas. I know it's not the same once you come over to the bigs, but they're really high on this guy. I was looking at some of the metrics, right? Like obviously it's a low velo guy, and vert, which is the sexy word for the fastball, also low vert fastball. So you're not going to necessarily see this guy punching tickets at the top of the zone with his heater, but the sweeper is super, super effective, or at least looks like it's going to be. It's got a ton of horizontal movement on it. And I'll let you take it away for the rest, because we had a pretty good debate last year about Imanaga. To me, this is very different. I was very high on Imanaga. I'm more lukewarm on this one.
But he's also not like 24, 26 years old and trying to like get his feet under him. Like, this is a veteran pitcher who they brought in, and he's going to give them innings. He's going to give them something that they desperately needed. And he's also not going to be the guy that like, well, if Grayson struggles really early, like this is our number one. There's not that kind of pressure on him. There's not that kind of expectation. But when we were in Orioles camp, like some of the guys, I talked to two of their catchers, Adley and Gary, and they were like, he knows what he's doing. Like, he knows what he's doing, and it alleviates that issue of, all right, do we got to have a young guy that comes up? Is this a aging veteran who's not going to stay together? It really seems like a very solidified spot for the Orioles, which they needed. Obviously, I hoped they would have gotten another number one to pair with Grayson, but they haven't yet. Spring training's still going. There's still dudes out there, just saying. But to me, solidifies that 4-5 spot for them, and that was something they needed too.
1 year, $13 million for Sugano to be in the Orioles rotation. Also, there are some teams that are trying to open up relations with players coming from Japan again, since the Dodgers have been dominating on that front. The Cubs have done a pretty nice job lately, but Todd, Father, I know the Phillies have been trying to recruit some players from Japan, and the Orioles are starting to get involved here too. So this is a big signing for them, and they want it to work out well. Do you know the last player to sign out of Japan to make it to the bigs for the Orioles?
Koji.
It's in the 2000s. Oh yeah, good.
Koji Uehara?
I'm pretty sure I asked Todd, Father. I wanted him to think about it, but it's like that kid in class who's like, ooh, call me, and then you don't pick on him, and he still is like, Koji Uehara, 2009.
Yeah.
His numbers were.
I would not have guessed that, but yeah, we are seeing a lot more of this. These guys are polished. They're well polished. They're trained well. They're respectable, and they can play the game of baseball, and they know how to pitch. It just seems that you see it all the time. You see a lot of American players go to Japan, kind of polish themselves up, figure some things out, come back a year or two later, and next thing you know, boom, they're starting on another team. Will they be elite? No, not necessarily, but they find ways, and they find their niches, and they find basically, hey, maybe let's try this. They tailor their game to what they need and to be back in the professional ranks. And Japan is no slouch. It's right there with, professional baseball. They have some really good ball players and the other ones too as well. So we might see a lot more of this, as we are seeing a lot more come through in the last couple of years.
Yep. All right, let's get to Aroldis Chapman. You guys both know him well. Still feeling it. 101 in his spring training
I don't know how he does it. Don't know.
I know, because I think
he's a monster.
We're going to say the same thing. What's yours?
He's a monster.
Exactly.
That's how he does
I was going to say he can lift monster trucks, and probably does that as part of his off-season training regimen. So if you'd like to throw like Aroldis Chapman at his age too, this guy's bringing it. So he'll be in the Red Sox bullpen. For me, Kratz, this is the part of Boston that I'm probably most concerned about right now, is the bullpen. To me, on paper, it looks okay. But I can often be surprised on bullpens. Bullpens are volatile. Names that you don't think about at all can suddenly become studs for several years and be high leverage guys. It's just on paper. I'm looking at Boston's bullpen, and I'm like, that could hold them back. That could be the part where they're like, they need to trade for some bullpen help at the deadline.
One of the things we saw last year with Boston was early on their rotation. You were like, okay, Pivetta, Cutter, Tanner. So you were sitting there going, okay, Bayo's going to take a next step. They know how to get the most out of guys. And I think that in bullpen or in organizations where the pitching staff, like the pitching coaches, know how to get the most out of guys. It takes a couple years to really unlock things in the bullpen. I'm not saying from like, okay, we had this guy for 3 years. I'm saying, hey, we want to look for this type of pitcher. We want to, like, think of the Brewers. Everybody in their bullpen last year, besides Devin Williams, was a DFA candidate. What are they looking for? What is the thing that they look for? And they're claiming these guys. And that's why we don't necessarily know all the bullpen guys. But what Boston did was they kind of hedged their bet a little bit. And they were like, okay, we know this trajectory, that this player, we can get this extra value, as Todd loves it, surplus value out of this pitcher. And we're also going to hedge our bet and get Liam Hendricks early on. So now we have Liam for this year. We're going to get Aroldis in free agency. They don't need to dip into more of the free agency because they can really get value out of these guys that they're claiming out of the minor leagues and all that stuff.
I mean, that's usually what I say for Todd Father. What's Todd Father's 2 favorite words? Oh, I go surplus value. Duh.
Ooh,
I mean, he talks about that with everything in life. Yeah. He'll be like, to his kids, he'll be like, give me an extra candy bar. Oh, surplus value. See, I got an extra kid. I get to take an extra candy bar and get away with it. No, I'm kidding.
There you go.
All right, let's get to your boy, Top Father. Rowdy Tellez is on the Mariners, and I think he's going to crack that roster. Signed a minor league deal, put together a little 432-foot bomb yesterday in their spring training game. 110 miles an hour off the bat. Minor league contracts for Rowdy, who had a really rough start with the Pirates in the first couple months last year, but then picked it up until the end of the season when they would have had to pay him a little extra money. So, of course, they cut him to save that for the yacht. But this dude is a big league hitter still.
Yeah, and he looks really good, if you want the truth. His body looks good. He looks like he's in better shape as well. I think you said it best, 110 miles off the bat. The bat speed is still there. You cannot sneak cheese past the rat. That's one guy, as you know, kind of like a Matt Stairs kind of guy. He is ready to rip the ball and try and hit a home run anytime, any place. And if you're going to try and blow him fastball a little bit up where he likes to hit the ball, oh my, it's going to go far. So he did. He looked a little slimmer around on the bases. He looks focused. And he's determined. When you have a little chip on your shoulder, guess what? You're coming in for a minor league stint, basically. They said a minor league contract. You're a little pissed. I'm going to show you why I should be on the big league team. And right now, that's a good start. His third at bat, going deep, going yammies. And good for him, man. 432. That's a way to start off a spring training season.
They need him. They need him. They need if the Mariners are not going to go out and get guys, they need a guy like Rowdy to be like, okay, I'll step up and I'll have my every other good year. Like, look, in down year last year, he had 13. Like, you sit there and you go, this is a guy that had 35 just 2 years ago in 2002. He's kind of like an every other year guy. So maybe, especially since it's nice for lefties to hit in Seattle, like, hey, maybe he doesn't see the angled batter's eye. Who knows? We'll have to ask him.
We will definitely get Rowdy on the show at some point to ask him about that. All right, FT fam, we'll swing right back. We'll hit hot corner, including Jose Altuve really telling the world that he is now an outfielder. We'll also look forward to some other Cardinals visiting us in a little bit. All right, a few little YouTube questions. I know somebody asked if Alex Verdugo is still a free agent. That answer is yes. He is still a free agent. Jamin asked what my least favorite jelly bean was, and I replied, all of them. I hate jelly beans. Do you guys like jelly beans?
No.
They're okay. I mean, they're not. There's plenty of other. I mean, when Jelly Bean came out with the Starburst jelly bean, that's legit. I like a sour jelly bean, but like the original jelly beans, no. And licorice is the worst jelly bean.
That's like Peeps for me, and during Halloween, I can't stand those either. Like,
no, Peeps are below average.
My wife will have 80 of those. It's ridiculous.
They're gross.
My thing is, you just mentioned now these are two candy-ish items, sweets, that I could easily pick a substitute for. So I'm like, if I'm going down this route, I'm going somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going down a jelly bean route, I'll go Skittles. I'll go Sour Patch Kids. There's way too many other options in that category for me. If I'm going down the Peeps route, just give me a campfire and let me just fire up a marshmallow. Like, there's just too many comps here that I'd rather take. By the way, use code FOUL for your 10th jelly bean free. No, I'm just kidding.
For all of Todd's licorice jelly beans that he doesn't want.
How about black licorice? Oh, God.
Ooh.
Terrible.
No.
Terrible.
Awful. I don't get it. I don't get it. I felt like when I tried it, I was eating a leather shoe.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't understand. It has to have more flavor.
Thank you.
Too funny.
And then there was one other legit baseball question I'm looking for. Hold on right now. Some people talking about Trout in the chat, that most people like him. They just want to see him succeed and be healthy. I mean, yeah, he's kind of not only a universal nice guy in the game, but he also does happen to play on a team that just can't really get themselves together. And you have this pity. Like, you feel bad, even though he's all the talent in the world. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's rich as hell. But I just feel like we've been robbed of seeing what this guy could have done in the playoffs, and a lot of times past already.
But he's not done. He's not done. We say all that.
No,
he's not done. Like, to me, he has a lot left in the tank, and maybe Perry can hit the right buttons. Push Artie away from the decision making, and these young guys in a few years can really come together, and that would be awesome.
So I saw this yesterday. Julia Morales, who's been on the show, who's an Astros reporter, posted the Jose Altuve infield glove that he gave to a kid. So she goes, he told me he's officially an outfielder because he gave his infield glove to a kid. Top Father, I was like, hold up, you sure? I mean, what if there's some injuries? Like, we're totally done? He's just officially committed outfield full time no matter what?
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard of it. Just, hey, man, here, take this glove. I'm done with it. I mean, you would always put that glove in the back of your bag just in case. I assume he has other gloves, infield gloves, just in case. Maybe that was. I don't know if that would be his game or that. I would love to see. I would love to see the infield glove. That was the outfield glove right there. I assume that looked pretty big.
Yeah, it was Marwin. Marwin Gonzalez.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm very intrigued. I'm glad a kid got a fresh, brand-new professional glove from a really good ball player, too. That's nice. But, yeah, hopefully that wasn't the one, just that old reliable that you need just in case. I always brought one with me. I had my game glove, but I always had old reliable just in case it broke down.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm as surprised as anybody when I read this that he gave it away, signifying that he's not going to play the infield. I haven't heard that from the org, that he's that locked in, and maybe the org hasn't heard that either. Joe Spada's like, Jose, like, I know I saw you out there working with Jordan, but are we sure about this? So I don't know. I'm interested to see what comes out the next few days around this.
Oh, this was Marwin Gonzalez's glove, so I'm totally getting the story wrong. People in the chat are telling me it's not Altuve's glove anyway.
No.
Yeah,
Marwin.
Yeah.
No, I think he's using Marwin's glove.
Yeah, he is. That's what it is.
So it's a picture of Marwin's outfielder's glove, and I'm pretty sure. I don't know what the chat says, but
no, yeah,
they said
he would use that glove. His probably outfield glove's not broken in already. So Marwin said, "Hey, use this for the time being." I would assume that's me making a judgment call there. Yeah. So or they did a glove swap. You never know.
Oh, he gave away his infield glove, and he's using Marwin's outfield glove.
He's
and
using
that's
Marwin's.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I was getting confused by people.
I mean, it was probably just sitting around because Marwin hasn't been in Houston for a minute. So Marwin's glove was probably just sitting around in the equipment room, and
they
were like, "Here, you need this until your A2000 Wilson gets broken in."
Marwin had quite a few gloves.
He had all the gloves because he was playing everywhere.
Mm-hmm. All right. If you want to continue to confuse me, we have video of Diamondbacks president Derrick Hall doing some Gen Z thing. So let's watch it.
Hey, besties, baseball season is back, no cap. It is time to enter your D-backs era. At our training fields, players be cooking. Pop off, Queens! They normally respond. They're locked in. Eating an acai bowl has given me main character energy. Sitting on the lawn is low-key fire. Some burros ate and left no crumbs. Slay. The vibes are immaculate. Ballpark empanadas? Let them cook. Salt River Fields. It's giving classy, it's giving cute, it's giving demure. This smash burger would send a Victorian child into a coma. Negative aura points if you don't shop at our team shop. Coming out to a spring training game is common sense, I fear.
There's something I haven't even
fire.
heard of, and I feel like I'm low key in the know for the vibes and the aura.
You got no
like,
riz. You got no riz, Kratz.
I got skibbity riz, kid. There's all that. I just made my son and and Mark blush. Mark didn't even know what skibbity was. But Demore? I never heard of Demore.
Yeah, that sounds like a clothing brand.
I've heard that one. It was last summer. That was a word used with some other word I'm trying to remember right now, and it was super stupid. Yeah, I mean,
No cap.
I have a tough time with a lot of these, but give a lot of props to Derrick. That was hilarious. That was great. I mean, you can look at it in a variety of ways. Obviously, trying to connect with the younger crew, but also backdoor making fun of it, which is great. That I appreciate. It is a backdoor throwing shade. Yeah, of course. Not in an offensive way, in a very 2025 way where it's like, hey, your words are stupid, so I'm going to make fun of it in a nice, kind way, and then also go a little viral for it. That's how I
wish I remember all the words. I wish I remember all the words that I used to say in high school, because we had a bunch of different words, and my dad would even tell me words that they used to say. Like, he used to say stick. Like, stick was like, man, you're capping. You're messing with me. He's like, stick. And that was when he was in high school, like in the 70s. So every generation has words, so don't feel like you don't, like you're new. It's just the old people, they don't know what those words are, so we want to be hip. Hip was more of like an 80s word.
It is true that also some words during other time periods just would not fly anymore, which is a whole nother story. But also, here's my problem. Okay? I think sometimes generations do get words right, but then we still just let them go eventually and move on to a next set of words that sometimes aren't as cool. Does that make sense?
Facts. Bet.
Facts. Bet. Lit. Fire. Those are all great, but they all basically have been retired. So I'm like, why? Why do we have to move on to new words when some of the new words suck?
Low key, people want to have their own aura.
Great.
We had a thing on the USA team when we were in the Olympics, and I forget who the heck said it. I forget which person said it, but the first time I heard it, I started laughing. I'm like, this was actually really cool. Like, one of the players would be like, hey, man, that was, somebody hit a homer. You go, dude, that ball was launched. And the next person say retweet, and, meaning that they liked the comment, you know what I mean? So everything somebody said was like, hey, man, let's go get a burger at the dining hall, retweet. And then we just go, like, I don't know. I like that one the best. I'm trying to get that one going over here in the States. So hopefully that'll connect.
That's on brand, bro.
You know who I just thought of? So our friend Jim Bowden.
Nobody liked it. I tried.
Wait, our friend Jim Bowden has done that before. So he uses two that come to mind here, baseball-wise, that he kind of made up, I think. when someone says something that he completely agrees with instead of just being like, I agree, and then reiterating it, which is, I think, a big thing in the media world where someone will agree, but then they'll like kind of regurgitate the same thing. Sometimes that happens in interviews too, when it's a bad interview and you're trying to coach the person, player, whoever into talking better. So Bowden will say verbal retweet. I liked that one. And then the other one he does, which I feel like you guys will be more wishy-washy on, is, you know how you'll say, oh, I really like this team on paper. He says, I really like this team on digital. Because he's like, no one's really using paper or writing things on paper anymore.
Okay.
Do you like verbal retweet?
We're chilling with that. I'm a chill guy.
Okay. Next up, we have huge humans visiting much smaller humans that are not that small. So this is Mamadou N'Diaye, Senegalese former pro basketball player who played college hoops for UC Irvine. He was the tallest basketball player in D1 at the time, 7'6" on the mound. This is just cool video. He visited Dodgers camp and he's near Dave Roberts. Here's Mr. 7'6", N'Diaye next to Shohei Ohtani, who stands about 6'4"-ish for Ohtani, right? 6'4", 6'5". I've been next to Ohtani. He's a big dude. He looks like a little kid in this photo.
I don't understand it. I don't understand how, like, people who are 7'6", like, I think about it, I'm 6'5", so he's a foot and an inch taller than me. And I think about people that are a foot and an inch shorter than me, and I'm like, you're kind of a short person. And I look at that guy, and I'm like, whoa, I'm pretty sure we met him last year at the All-Star game. He was hanging out at the after party. Remember that, Scott?
We met him?
At the after party. He was the only 7'6" dude in the room. He looks familiar, let's put it that way. But I don't know, like, I would love to see what I love to see, and who did it? Wembayama. He had that picture where he had the ball in his hand. Like, those dudes, I don't understand. Like, what kind of pitch could they throw that we can't throw? Because the ball is just, like, I feel like I have big hands. Their hands are like a full 5-6 inches longer than mine. Like, what pitch could you throw that other people can't throw?
Well, it's like this, right? You would just hold it like it's a little marble.
Just a dart?
Yeah. Throw your dart, throw your marble. Well, that's probably why there's a problem, though. The hands are too big to be able to manipulate the baseball.
Okay. Or you could throw something awesome. Like the cutter. Like the extra cutter. Like Pedro. Pedro had those hands that like bent like this. He could throw a ridiculous changeup. They might have the most induced vertical break of all time because how long it's like a highlight. It's like a highlight, whatever those things are called, coming out of their hand. You never know. Didn't have a great arm action, but I'm sure Doc will figure it out. Doc makes gold out of everything.
Pedro Martinez is who he's referring to, and it's got some silly putty action to it where he can bend back his fingers, and they basically go all the way back this way.
His ball would look so small in his hand when he held that circle change. It was incredible.
Yeah. That's the thing. Some people are just born with an ability to manipulate a baseball. Pedro was a prime example of that because he can literally move his fingers in a way that for most others would mean your whole hand is broken, finger by finger. And for Pedro, it was just Tuesday.
And I'll finish with this. A small guy with big hands like that you would never think. It just random come to my head because we talk about it all the time. Tim Kirchin, smallest guy in the world, but his hands are the same size as mine. It's absolutely insanity.
That's why he's a good basketball player.
He was.
He's here
he was. Timmy's over there?
Timmy was over here at camp. He's an absolute – he's a roadsman right now. He's going everywhere. But he was telling me how big his hands are and how small his feet are. So he's got to shop in one section for gloves and shop in another section of the store for his socks.
Hey, so he's saving a little bit of money.
Kid store for shoes, big and tall for gloves. Got it. Okay.
Well,
FT Fab. We'll be right back. We're maybe going to show Pedro Martinez basically breaking his hand or his fingers at birth. Stay tuned on that one. We'll see.
And just lengthening them. I love that.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Ooh.
my God.
It's like if you bent your fingers back and then just tried to break them, like push them all the way. Don't do this, okay? Disclaimer, whatever. Don't sue us. But like, I don't even know how to describe the way that looks besides dislocated.
It's not like it doesn't. That's not even how it's supposed to be. Basically, like when you put your palms together and stick your hands out. For the people who are listening to audio, normally your fingers can go away from your palms. The middle joint is together, and his fingers can go away from his palms. Like I don't get it, but I guess superpower.
Incredible.
It's like
incredible.
Those people where their knees go the wrong way. They go in. What do you call that? Or they go out. I forget which one.
Ugh, I don't know.
They just go.
Sounds
they
terrible.
go the wrong way. No, it doesn't hurt them. I'm just saying it's just bow-legged. I don't know which one it is, but it just.
I thought you were talking about your knees and ankles when I play basketball against you.
That'll never happen. Never. Never.
I like that. Todd Father gets crossed up and Kratz yells, bow-legged.
That's a new slang. That's a new term.
That's a new slang. Put that man on it bow-legged.
Just don't let it go away so quickly, okay? If you're going to grab bow-legged, we don't need anything. No trademark. Just let it ride for like 10 years, not 10 minutes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Fair.
We'll be back in 1 minute to go over a story I found that we missed from the other day, but I really want to make sure that we point it out. I'm very strict about the ABS challenge system right now and that I love it. And most of the reviews have been great. So anyone that doesn't like it does get called out on the show and we talk through it. And there is a candidate on this list who really, for me, is Dork of the Week. And we're going to go over that next because he's a lovable guy, but he's just flat out wrong on this one. In the weeds means not much gets by FT, but this one did for a couple days. Then we bring it to the weeds. The story here from C. Trent Rosecrans from The Athletic on Terry Francona, who basically said, screw ABS testing in spring training. All right, so the quote from Tito, new Red skipper, was, we're not using it in the regular season, so why work on a strategy we're not going to use? It just muddies the waters. He basically said that Reds minor leaguers have the green light, but not big leaguers, which is the entire reason why we have this going in spring training. Just for clarification, okay? We've been doing this testing in the minor leagues for years. We have it in spring training so that major leaguers can weigh in on it, give feedback, vote on it. Even if the vote is fake and MLB is going to implement it anyway, this is to give them some time to actually experience it and say, we like this, we love this, we have comments about this, all good. But it's for big leaguers. Big leaguers are different from minor leaguers, but I'll let the two former big leaguers here chime in just a sec. One more comment from Tito in the story. He said, I'll be interested in seeing how it works, but I'm okay with seeing our younger guys do it because they've done it. It's not a strategy for us at the major league level. So why work on it? I don't want to make a farce of anything, but we're here getting ready for a season, and that's not helping us get ready. Kratz, we are trying to make the game better. And you tell me, like, would this really affect you? Like, you guys are both vets. Would this really affect you if your manager came to you and was like, hey, you're going to be a worse player this year if you're focusing on this thing that is not going to be implemented yet. So don't do it for the better of the game.
I mean, we just had Oli on. Oli was just sitting right here, and he was like, I really don't want my minor league guys doing it. I want these guys to kind of get used to it in case it happens. Like, you don't want to get ambushed by this. You don't want to all of a sudden be like, oh, wait, we didn't work on this. Now all we have is next year's spring training, because I don't see them implementing it during the season unless it goes like crazy, crazy awesome. But you like an extra spring training, it's not going to take that much. To me, it would have helped me because it would have helped me lock into the strike zone, which I wasn't good at controlling the strike zone. So it would help me lock into that and not chase and be like, you know what? I'm going to work on figuring it out so maybe I can use it in the game. And then, oh, okay, get one of these. Oh, I was right. Wow, there is a lot more room out there. You know, I don't need to chase that slider away. To me, I don't know. I'm not in the Tito's camp. I like avoiding distractions, but I'm not in Tito's camp on this one.
Yeah, maybe it's just one of those things where it's like his coaching methods. Like, listen, I have my plans. I have my set schedule. I want my guys to do bing, bang, and boom. I'm not really worried about this right now. This is something that is not in my possibilities. It's not a part of my plan. Listen, I don't know how to take it, but I think you gotta talk about it at least, and maybe have some guys try it out for sure. But Tito's been very successful in what he's been doing and where he's been coaching and managing, and he's not going to steer away from that. He wants his guys focused on, finding a way to win games and do, the little things to win those games and not find a way to lose those games early and often. So this might be a little distraction for him, and, so be it. It's time to move on. But, what he's been doing over the years it's been successful and at times been very, very good. So he's going to put this one on the back burner, and he might just leave it as is. Just, don't know really what else to say about that.
It's freaking spring training, Tito. Relax. We're not asking you to dial in on every pitch and freak out and put pressure on people to use the system or not. But at the same time, Todd Father, it's just a casual, oh, hey, I think that was wrong. Let me do one of these. Just like you would in an AB, right? If you're like, oh, I felt like that one was off.
Sure.
Okay, cool. And even if the vets use it in the first couple innings, fine. But the other thing is, it's going to be a part of our game by 2026. Yep. So if that's the case, don't you want to have a little bit of input, especially from someone who's been in the game for a while? And also if there's any vets on the team that are like, yo, this is perfect, except there's one thing they really need to consider, and it's this. Because otherwise it's going to come next year, Kratz, and you might get a complaint about a certain way the system's running. And the league should go, sorry about it. You boycotted it in spring training, and we brought it there for you. Otherwise, why don't we just implement it now in the regular season? Do you think I'm going too hard? If everybody felt this way and did it, then nobody would practice it in spring training and give input, and then it would make the league worse. And then also they could just implement it right away. I think it's very short-sighted in not being a team player with the league. And I would understand it if it was really hurting the team or the development, but it's not.
I was talking to a guy that has played under the challenge system in the minor leagues for the last however long they've had it. He's been down there, and he's like, there are definitely things you have to get used to. And it's not just the size of the zone; it's the cadence of the game, and like you're in that moment. You're like, oh wait, even when you're used to it, you're not just like thinking ahead of time. Okay, pitch. Oh yeah, challenge. Like this pitch might be a ball, I'll challenge. Like, no, you have to get into the rhythm of it. And I don't understand, because you're not going to see all the things that don't apply in games without actually using it. So yeah, they should totally use it. They need to use it so that we can get big leaguers on the Guardians, not just big leaguers on 29 other teams, to give their input. Oh no, this doesn't work. Like, we can't see this, or there's a big league stadium. This isn't the same as a minor league stadium. So I really think it should. I really think they should use it. But hey, Tito's going to be Tito.
I'm with you. And lastly, on a high note, some people commenting in the chat about the beautiful topic bar at the bottom of the screen, which features flowers that extend beyond the square or the rectangle that they're placed in to give you that 3D futuristic vibe. our big man behind the scenes, Jeremy, A++ on this graphic.
Oh,
in the
for
week.
sure.
You see that, Top Father? You can actually like pluck one of the flowers out. There you go.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Beautifully done,
Wow.
by the way.
Versatile.
Very versatile. And if you're new to the party here, say catching a show for the first time this week and you weren't with us the last few days, there's some new sexy graphics on your screen. There's some borders like on the screen you're looking at right now. They used to have that red line. They're gone. Just give you that smooth FaceTime feel. So there was a lot of hard work put together behind the scenes. Props on that. All right, FT fam, we'll be right back. We'll go over some big boy debuts. Oh, there it is. See that, Todd Father? You haven't seen these? Yeah.
That's beautiful.
You like that red smoke in the back?
I like it all. It's a sign of spring to come. Let's go.
Exactly. FT fam, we'll be right back from Cardinals camp. Wins. You can still bet on wins, folks. It's there for you. So which pitcher will have the most wins in 2025? Top names on the board: Zach Wheeler plus 900, Tarik Skubal plus 900, Paul Skeens plus 1,000, Chris Sale plus 1,400, Corbin Burns plus 1,400. I know where I'm not going, fellas.
Come on, Paul can win. Paul can win a lot of games.
He can win a lot of games, but your chances aren't as high. You're looking for a banger team with a big offense.
You're right. And that's my top and bottom. That's why it's at 900 plus 900 and plus 1,400. Burns and Wheeler. I feel like the Diamondbacks are going to be a focused team. People will say, well, they're going to lose some games to the Dodgers. Yeah, you're right. They're probably also going to lose a game to the Rockies. Corbin Burns, Zach Wheeler, to me, are the values on there. They are the huge values. Nothing against Chris Sale, Skubal. I get it. I get what those guys can do, but they're on teams that have banger offenses and score for them. There's plenty of games last year Tarik Skubal was coming out of the game winning 1-0. Well, that's not conducive to lead the league in wins.
Listen, I think you're spot on. I think you're definitely there. I think Chris Sale can have another spectacular year if he's healthy too as well. You can't go wrong with Zach Wheeler. This guy's an absolute stud. He's been doing it for a lot of years now, and he has the same stoic look on his face. And when he does good or if he does bad, he goes out there and just dominates. So seeing Zach Wheeler at the top of that list puts a smile on my face, knowing that could be an easy win for most wins in Major League Baseball.
I like that one. He gives you innings. He's a vet. You don't have to be careful with him. I feel the same way with Burns. I'm with you, Kratz. So if I'm picking one, I'm going Burns because I'm going to get the value at plus 1,400. Mm-hmm. So I would drop a hundo down on that one. And FT fam will continue to remind you about the $1.5 million in guaranteed money that's being thrown out there in the purse this week on those Poker Winter Online Championships. It's actually over a several week period. It started already, still going for another week or so. So if you want more details, you can even just go to Google and type in BetMGM Poker and see all of the juicy details. Got to be in Michigan or Jersey or Pennsylvania if you want to face Kratz.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
We showed video of this yesterday, but now we also have sound. We have quotes from Sammy Sosa talking to the media after hanging out with the Chicago Cubs yesterday. I mean, this is unfamiliar territory. He had been banished from the Cubs for a long time, and now he's back with the franchise to help them out. Can visit camp. He was at the Cubs Fest that they have, Cubs Con, they call it. Let's get a little Sammy quote here first.
It's great. I mean, after 21 years coming back here, yesterday was first day, and I got opportunity to see the game and also teach a little bit some guy, that was jumping too much. But that was great. I mean, I'm happy to be here, blessed. And once again, I have to say thank you to the Ricky family for this opportunity. Craig Counsel and Jay Hoyer for the opportunity.
What's it like to put on that uniform again?
Great, man. I feel like I'm playing again. But it's good. I mean, all the players happy for me to be here. I have a lot to contribute here. I believe that the opportunity is here, so I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it right now.
What was it like to talk to the players?
Nice. 21 years, Todd father.
Wow. That's a heck of a lot of years, man, if you want the truth. Holy cow. But yeah, it must have felt like first day for him coming to the ballpark and experiencing baseball in the major leagues for the first time. Honestly, this was a spectacular time for him. And you could see the reflection and the smile on his face. This guy was overly joyed, and he deserves to be back there, man. He deserves to be back putting on a uniform, teaching the young kids a little bit and helping out, a lot of the Latin guys too as well get comfortable coming over here and speaking the language and knowing that, hey, listen, you guys are good. Let's go out there and dominate. And just seeing him walk around, if I'm a player, I'm like, I tell a young kid, go say hi to that man. That guy was one of the most prolific hitters in baseball at one time.
I just can't believe it's been that long. I just can't believe it's been that long. And whether you're a superstar or barely a star, to make it to Major League Baseball, you have to put in a ton of work, and you're devoting so much of your life, so much of the people's lives around you, and to just be cold turkey, cut out of it essentially, like Sammy was, that's tough. That's tough on anybody. People say, "Whoa, he had tons of money, and he's got family all around him." You can't take that out of him. And clearly, to be able to come back and have that feeling again after all these years, it just shows what kind of connection it really has.
All right, next up, that's what he said from Andrew Chafin, who is usually a very vocal dude, but apparently isn't going to really talk officially as a person this year. He's going to talk unofficially as a person. So Chris McCoskey, who covers the Tigers, got a little quote tweet from Cody Stavenhagen, our guy from Tiger territory. He said Chafin's motivated and a little pissed this spring. Should be fun. Maybe because he got a minor league invite is my guess. So Chafin is wearing jersey number 0. He's made it clear he will not be speaking to media on the record. Quote, "I'll still sit here and BS with you," while he competes for a roster spot as an NRI, which Kratz taught you about yesterday, which means non-roster invitee.
Hey, get after it. Compete. But you know what?
Yeah, I see him.
It's okay to be pissed off. I love that he's using number 0. I don't like that he's not going to be talking because
it's not the media's fault.
Chafin.
Also,
no,
they didn't decide to give you a minor league deal.
No, don't maybe talk more, and teams will understand that. Oh yeah, I was pissed off, and I'm a guy. I think some teams, not to be where we're at now, but some teams don't really give access to players. So you sit there and you go, hey, if you want to piss a team off, you want to piss other teams off for not signing you, and you want to put number 0 on, talk more. Teams will be like, all right, well, maybe we should not. Maybe we should not piss these guys off.
Mm-hmm. All right, FT fam, we're going to get ready for our next guest. Oh, we can just bring him right on? Yeah, up to you. Either way.
Yeah, we'll bring him right on.
I'm good. Let's do it. We can't find the Cardinals. Yeah. They're hiding from us, but we can find our buddy Derrick Goold from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Always fun at Cardinals camp. Derrick, great to see you. How was that Nolan Arenado experience yesterday? Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, up in Tampa. It was interesting. They've been pretty clear with us about his schedule and going every other day and wanting to maintain that. I mean, it was one of the first things after he answered all the questions about the non-trade winter and all the thoughts he had about reporting to Cardinal camp. One of the first things he said was, "I'm here to play a lot. I cannot wait to play a lot." And he's brought that up often. He wanted to take at bats right away with Labby P and get right into games. And they set up this schedule. It's all based around Monday's off day. But he didn't want to go 2 days off in a row and had a chance to hang out with some buddies. You know, I'm sure you guys maybe got a chance to talk to DJ LeMahieu. I talked to Paul Goldschmidt yesterday up there in Tampa, and they were both saying how they got to spend time the night before with Nolan Arenado, who drove up. You know, he got to play, and he got to play a little bit longer than he expected because he wanted 3 at-bats and out and then on the road. But 16 up, 16 down kind of meant that 3rd at-bat came in the 7th inning. So he was in Tampa a lot longer than he expected.
Yeah. What you've followed him playing other spring trainings.
Yeah.
Has he always taken this many at-bats?
So, this many at-bats.
Like you just said, you know, he said, I want to be out there. I guess we're kind of being skeptical about it, but like
it's a great question. You know, he's always been a guy who wanted to play and play a lot. Okay. You know, this many at bats this early, you know, the way he explained it was like, look, he put in all this work to be mobile. He put in the work to, you know, kind of alter his swing a little bit and get back to a lot of that pull side power and comfort. And I think he wants to make the most of it, like get some positive reinforcement early on, see how it's working. You know, that's something that he and the hitting coach Braun have talked about. Braun, you know, despite all the stuff going on with, you know, Nolan Arenado in the front office and whether he would be traded or not, the Cardinals' hitting coach Braun visited with Arenado during the winter, spent time with him, and kind of talked through a plan to like, okay, here's where we can get you to. What do you want to do from your swing? Where do you think it went wrong last year? What were you missing? What comfort were you missing? And they want to get back to that. Like, that's something. So he did mention that, like, all right, get a lot of bats early, get a feel for it, see where it goes. It's not so much like get a lot of bats early, get that rhythm going, and then crank your way through the end of March into a new team. That wasn't kind of the thinking.
And you're talking about an elite player in our team.
Yeah.
You know, fringe Hall of Fame type of player.
Yeah. But probably a Hall of Fame player, right? 10 years, 10 gold gloves.
I feel like he's a Hall of Famer. We're not discussing Hall of Fame here.
All right, sorry.
No,
that's December.
That's December. Yeah, it's off-season stuff. But my thought is the team wanted to trade him.
Yeah.
Whose spot is he really taking if he's still on here? That will push for that development. I'm not talking about, we'll sign somebody that'll be like it, because obviously they're not going to sign anybody. They're the only team left without a big league free agent so far, since the Marlins made a huge splash in the free agency. But whose spot is he taking?
It rocked Jupiter.
Rocked all of Jupiter.
Yeah, it's great. So it's not like linear, right? It's not like Nolan Arenado playing third cost this third base prospect playing time. It's more of a trickle down in the sense that with Nolan Arenado at third, then Nolan Gorman is not. Nolan Gorman is at second, so Brendan Donovan is not. Brendan Donovan is in left field, so Lars Nootbaar is not. So then Lars Nootbaar is in center, so Michael Ciani or Victor Scott II is not. So it really comes down to not so much a development question, but the classic conundrum of defense versus offense, Erik. You know, this notion that, like, all right, do you go with a best lineup that produces the most offense, because that's Lars in center field right now? Or do you play to the ballpark that you have? Do you prioritize defense, which we've seen the Cardinals do and excel at, a run prevention style, and then you have Ciani or the young prospect Victor Scott? And then you go down to the bench. Like, where does Thomas Saggese fit in if, Nolan Arenado's at third and now there's one less spot on the bench? You have a right-handed, versatile, young rookie player in Thomas Saggese. Does he have a spot in the big leagues, or is his playing time going to be so minimal in the big leagues that they want him playing every day and continuing to develop AAA? So it's not like a direct line that's going to cost all of a sudden, Nolan Gorman isn't going to get 500 at-bats. He'll still get at-bats. It's more elsewhere and around the roster where those at-bats are going to go.
But this is my issue with the Cardinals. When I watch them, if you're rebuilding, you want to rebuild around guys. Mason Wynn's playing short.
Yeah.
Bang. We got it.
Yep.
You just shifted everybody around the infield and outfield and all this stuff. And that's, to me, I feel like that's part of one of the things that has gotten them to this spot is never having that guy that plays that position. Whatever it is, it's it's like, hey, you know what? You're showing up today and you're going to hit second. Now you're playing left, and tomorrow you're going to play third and you're hitting seventh. Why, as a young player, that's hard to adjust to. And I thought in this rebuild, whatever it's called, I got 7 guys. They're all going out there, and I'm mixing in catcher here and there. I'm mixing in a one platoon advantage, but we're an organization that's going to lock this in. And so you're saying that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think they still can. It's a question of will production make the answer for them, right? Like that's back to where it's at, not so much that they can force the issue. One of the things, like exactly what you're talking about, it's like one of the skills that they had is also become their curse. Like, for years down here in spring training, I've heard from other teams who are around, the Mets, the Astros there for a while, and they talk about how the Cardinals always seem to like get that versatile guy, that guy who produces, maybe doesn't have an everyday position, but an everyday spot in the lineup. Tommy Edman comes to mind. I mean, you could go way back to the performance that they got out of Aaron Miles when he was here. So, I mean, I can run the whole gamut of a couple decades. Brendan Donovan is that guy who wins the Utility Gold Glove Award, right? So the Cardinals have had a track record of producing like contributing players who play a lot of different spots, while some of these other teams have struggled to do that. But that's also been their curse in the sense that it can make them impatient, right? Like they can, and it's really out there in the outfield, right? Where, Randall Grichuk is their guy until he's not. Randy Arozarena is their guy until he suddenly is not. Lane Thomas was their guy until he got hurt. And then when he came back, Harrison Bader was their guy. So, all these folks, and they were constantly, the word that John Mozeliak used that's appropriate is they were constantly like chasing. And over the last few years, they've been chasing innings with starters. But there was this notion that they were always kind of chasing the production at a position, and that made them impatient. They never let a guy kind of go through the rocky times that then allowed an Adolis Garcia to emerge or get the playing time that Randy Arozarena could have to emerge. These guys had flaws in their games. They went elsewhere and overcame them through playing time and opportunity. That was just never going to happen here with the Cardinals because the pressure to perform and produce and win was so on them that they went, well, we're going to go with somebody else. We're going to go with somebody else. We're going to go with somebody else. So this year the commitment is like, okay, to that patience. And I think it's still there. Maybe not as many at bats because Nolan Arenado's here. Definitely not as many at bats for like a guy at first base because Wilson Contreras is here. But it still can be. They can still be patient. They can still see. All right, Lars Nootbaar, what do you do with all this playing time? You're not the next guy that we're going to ship off and become an all-star elsewhere. You're the guy who's going to play here without the pressure of being in first place. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so let me give you my take here on Arenado because I want to get your thoughts on what the results of this will be.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, you want to be with a team like Boston. That ain't happening. I mean, Bregman can't even get to third base in Boston. With the Yankees, my guess is it was a quick phone call of them saying, yeah, maybe we'd take them, but we would have you take most of the money. That's not the point here for St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Houston seemed like a perfect fit to me. I don't know what I'm missing there. I mean, they're always a contender. So I would be pissed off if I was the Cardinals and Houston was on the list. They figured out a trade. Then he said no. And now the list is now down to just really a few teams because it did sound like Houston was on the list. And then B, do you think he's holding off because he thinks that maybe the Yankees will give in eventually and realize that they need more help at third base? He might only get one crack at waiving the no trade clause to a team that he really wants to be on, say a top 3 team instead of a top 5 team for him. I'm just trying to comprehend where his head is at because he is likely going to start the season on a team that doesn't want him here. It sounds like he's okay to leave and they're not going to be contenders.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all in a good spot as far as him being here, to be candid. I think that's part of it. Like, as he walks out of the clubhouse here and off to the ballpark right there, I think they're in a good spot with that, just to your last point. But I don't really get the sense that he's trying to play chicken with the Yankees. In a sense, he's said, this is what I'm willing to leave St. Louis for. These are the traits that I want in a team, whether those are definitely contending for a championship, going all in, whatever you want to do, or how he described the Yankees, that they're really pushing for that championship. That's how he put it yesterday and described them. So that's part of the traits, but also is like, look, you got to look at it this too. I like the way you put that. They're like, okay, if you're going to waive the no trade clause for a second time in his career, you kind of want it to be the last time, right? You don't want to go to a spot where this is just the same conversation now for every 3 remaining years of the contract. You don't want to become the guy who's chasing after a championship while people move your contract around either. So I think that really limited his notion. He brought that up too, in the sense that he didn't want to move his family around running after the next best team to try to win a World Series with. He wanted to find a place where he could stay and do that. And so I think that's part of why that list is so limited. There's also all of the things that go on with his contract. I think you think back to when the Cardinals made that trade and how that trade almost fell apart just because they were trying to defer money. They had to introduce a second opt-out clause to give it the current day value. So like maintaining the current day value of that contract is so essential. And we saw teams just really reluctant to offer all kinds of contracts this year. And we see deferred money here and backloaded there. And if you come to this trade and go, okay, well, let's adjust this money to fit our current financial situation, then he has a say in that being uncomfortable as well. And that could be a reason why a trade just doesn't come to fruition. So there's a lot of elements here, but I don't get the sense that the way you put it, Scott, is really good. I think he has a few places that he's willing to leave this spot for. He knows this place. There is at least some vibe, and you guys may have gotten it here, you may have gotten it here, that maybe they could force the issue. I was really interested in the fact that the front office has set the tone for the winter, and the players now get to decide, is that really what they are? Is this really a transition? Is this really a rebuild? The players take over from here, and you see Wilson Contreras here, you see Sonny Gray here. They're not really settling for that. And I'm really interested in seeing what manifests on the field versus what manifests in the boardroom. And if Arenado's around seeing that same thing and goes, all right, well, this place isn't that far away, or maybe they could cause a headache for a few things, and maybe he likes the opportunity here, or at least the comfort level here, more than just the unknown of going somewhere. So I don't think it's that case where he's trying to play chicken with the Yankees per se, but he's just being very selective. So he knows that when he makes this move, it is the move to a better spot, to a better chance to win, and it's going to be the one that he closes out his career with.
It's the last one.
Yeah, that's what it kind of feels like. Yeah.
I mean, with Sonny, we didn't really hear Sonny's name. He has that money, so you almost have to say, was there no talk about Sonny? Was there no interest?
He shot it down. They went to him. So they had this press conference at the end of the year where they introduced the reset, which has now been rebranded a transition. This is what goes on. But anyway, so they set all this out there, this is where it is. And I asked, do you need to have some conversations with the guys who signed here specifically for the promise that you were going to contend every year? This is part of your brand. So when you sign a player as a free agent, you get the notion that you get the history, you get the birds on the bat, and you get the knowledge that you're going to contend every year, that's what you're selling. Now that you have these guys who you signed as free agents, or in Nolan Arenado's case, traded, where he was willing to do a lot to come here, do you have to go to them and say, hey, look, we're changing our brand, and we recognize that we sold you on this brand? And Mozeliak said yes. He goes, those are conversations they have to have. He goes, I'm going to have them over the next 2 weeks. He had already had at least one of them, and likely a few others. But he did go to those guys, ask them, do you want out? Do you want to be traded? Do you want us to find you a spot? Where would you like to go? And Wilson and Sonny both said, I'd prefer to stay. Wilson was willing. They were like, okay, but you're not going to be catcher because we want these young guys to get. And he was willing to move positions, not teams. And Sonny, he made the point that he came to the Cardinals for a lot of reasons, not just the annual contention, the proximity to home, the history, the people that he met, all those reasons. But he said also, I saw things that needed to be changed, that needed to be updated here, that needed to be radically reimagined or rethought. And they're going to do that. So I could be a part of seeing that through. And so that's part of the reason why the GM meetings, it was clear right then. Sonny, the word I was told by multiple people was his preference is to stay, and the Cardinals respected that.
That's awesome. I love it. Appreciate you being on, Derrick.
Yeah, thank you guys. Always a pleasure. Welcome to Jupiter.
Yeah,
Thanks.
It's a beautiful day. All the weather.
Yeah,
so,
it's a nice day.
FT, we'll be right back. Are you in? We're live, but yeah.
All You're muted, Scotty.
This is the good stuff behind the scenes. I know you like to just look at a random apartment with no words, no audio. But I want to hear Kratz. This is the good stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, that was
Kratz, what's
that
going
was
on?
Lars.
Who are you talking to?
I was talking with Lars. Lars has to. He's actually one of the guys playing in the game. So they've had something up until now. So my hope is in the last 20 minutes of the show, we just get everybody. I said everybody can just come out. You'll share a mic. You'll just show it. No doubt. Thank you, Derek. But yeah, the guys are just kind of milling around. But Lars is ready. He's got nails up. He's ready to go. So he's playing in the game. He's one of the guys that didn't make the trip yesterday.
Okay. Good to know. So we're going to get 20 players. They each get 1 minute for the last 20 minutes of the show. Is that how we're doing it?
That's good. That's good. Because I told Jordan Walker, I said, he's like, I don't want to talk about baseball. I was like, good. What do you want to talk about? He's like, oh, we'll talk about 2K. And then that got Mason going. And so who knows? We'll see. They got the music bumping in the clubhouse. We'll see what happens.
So they don't do interviews about baseball?
I don't know.
Might be a trend.
Is this another Gen Z thing that I don't understand? You play a profession everyone that's a baseball fan wants to know more about, but you won't talk about it for 5-10 minutes.
Mason wins. Like just seeing him up close. Obviously, Jordan Walker's a monster, but Mason Wynn, some dudes you look at him, you're like, you're just a fast, twitchy dude, and he's really trendy. He's got like some nice diamond earrings. Like I wanted to show him off wanted to show the bling off in the sunshine here. So, hey, we'll cross our fingers. Maybe the last 15 minutes here.
All right. Kratz freaking got out of Amish town in Pennsylvania to see the sunshine people in Jupiter. And Oli was great off the top. So, FT fam, we always take you behind the scenes, doing our best. The MVP last year during spring training, during our tour, Mets PR, right?
They just lined them up.
Every freaking player.
We didn't have the calendar, but we're going there tomorrow.
Exactly. We're going to Mets camp tomorrow. So pressure's on, actually, for them to go 2 for 2. All right, looking ahead, we got some debuts and some news. Shohei Ohtani is going to appear in his first spring training game on Friday against the Angels. That's according to Dave Roberts. So that's cool. You get to see Ohtani take some swings.
That's
I
great.
want to see him swing. We saw it happen all last year. He's locked in. He doesn't need to take any extra swings. I want to see Ohtani on the mound. I want to see it. I don't want to see bullpens off a plastic turf mound. I want to see the big fella slinging some rocks up there, and then I want to see him hit dingers.
Agreed.
True.
Also, on the topic of the Dodgers, so they go to Tokyo, of course, to play the Cubbies, and then they come back, and then they've got their home opener. I think it's on the 27th, and that should be Blake Snell is what some are guessing. I don't know if did they officially announce that or no? I don't think so, but it sounds like it's a Snell. Okay. I think it's Snell because you'll have Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki out in Japan, which is kind of mandatory that they have the Japanese pitchers for the Dodgers pitching in that game. Someone joked about that. And of course, Imanaga is going to pitch in one of the games for the Cubbies. But on the other side, in that opener matchup in LA, this one is official, and of course it was never going to be anyone else, but Derrick Goold starts opening day for the Tigers. That'll be their first game of the year in LA. Goold against LA. I'm kind of excited to bet on that game. I'll think about it, but I just feel like Goold is going to be huffing and puffing, and he loves bringing it on the road, going up against the team that's going to go 162-0. Can he, put an L on the board against the Dodgers day one?
Scott, this is something to think about. We won't discuss it, but something to think about. Are the two best pitchers Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki? And the Dodgers, because no team ever wants to give one game away. I get it. The Dodgers are going to be fine. They can give, I'm not saying giving them away. I just want fans to think about it. We'll discuss it before their opener. But are they the two best pitchers? Because teams are throwing their best pitchers, games 1 and 2 in their season. Are they the Dodgers' two best pitchers?
Yeah.
I mean, no in both cases.
So why are they throwing extra games?
Because it's mandatory.
No. The Cubs if the Cubs' two best pitchers are Imanaga and Tyone, the Cubs are going to go Imanaga, Tyone, and then the first 2 games of the season, who are they throwing? Imanaga and Tyone, because there's going to be a break. Like, to me, I'm just saying, don't let your dearth of talent get in the way.
You start your top dogs, right? Is that what you're saying, or you're not agreeing with that? Oh, okay.
No,
all right. I want to make sure we're on the same page. You start your top guys are going, because then they'll be ready to go. What is that? 10 days later, whatever it is.
No,
maybe
it's 7 days later that they start. Yeah.
I think in some cases it matters, but I get what you're saying, but those guys both can be top end starters, and
yes, and
Kratz,
that's why
they're going to go through. They're mapping out, hey, I got 30 starts for each guy, or 25 or 35 or whoever it is. So I just feel like they map it out. Obviously, a million things happen that go wrong during the season. But you're saying, for example, if you feel like your top 2 arms on that team are Glasnow and Snell, they should be pitching games 1 and 2, and then they should be pitching games 1 and 2 again, because you get to kind of double up.
That's what I'm saying. That's what every other team is doing. And any team that's saying they're not doing that, I would say they're lying. Like, you have to throw your best 2 guys.
Scott, imagine
something else.
Imagine getting 7 days off in between starts. That's how good of a team you got. That would be
a once-a-week rotation.
Crazy. Wow,
that's
right. Crazy.
I get what Kratz is saying, and it's a topic that's not going to get a lot of play, but
no,
it's not off. It's just that those 2 talents are still top-end talents. The bigger debate would have been if, those 2 are really clear-cut back-end starters, and you're like, we got to pitch them, but you're like, they're not as good. And what if we don't make the playoffs by a couple games? Or obviously with the Dodgers, that's a pretty tough sell. But what if we don't get the number 1 seed or something like that, and we look back and, our top 2 dudes were not pitching in those first 2 games? The case also can be made for Roki Sasaki, because you don't know what you're going to get yet. Do you remember Yamamoto last year against the Padres? In that first game, his first big league start, it got real fast.
Oh, we talked about that. Yeah, it did.
And I know Chicago. He's going to see Chicago, and he's going to be like, Chicago, Kyle Teal, does he play on this team? Oh, different Chicago team. Like, Chicago's already got. It's 1-0 on Chicago right now. I know it's the White Sox, but Roki's giving up a dinger. I'm just saying, as a team, as a competitor, you're always looking to put your best team out there, your best pitchers out there. Probably more of a discussion when we get closer.
Yeah, but that's what this show's for. I don't hate it. And lastly, on our way out, I'm going to work hard on teaching Kratz what the word dearth means, because I think it means the opposite.
I know.
Of what
I said it the wrong way again. You had called me out. I said it before.
Plethora a lot, dearth a little.
Yes.
Demure. I never heard any of these.
Yeah. I mixed it.
Yeah, these are these Gen Z words that Kratz uses. BRB, FT fam. Listen, I'm no wordsmith. I mostly use Google. I sometimes even use Google Translate for English because I don't know what I'm talking about. But I do have the definition for you, Kratz. Dearth, a scarcity or lack of something. Use it in a sentence. Okay. There is a dearth of evidence. Not
there's
a lot of evidence.
There's a dearth of big league free agents that these freaking Cardinals signed this year.
Exactly. Yes. The Dodgers have a plethora of starting pitching
plethora.
options.
It's a lot.
Got it, Todd?
The Cardinals have gotten us a dearth of players to come on the show.
Facts.
Dearth.
I use plethora a lot. I do use a plethora.
I do like plethora.
It's a nice word. Rolls off the tongue nicely. What's this?
Ooh, Todd tweet.
Playing for the Yanks for half season, acquired along with a good fella, I'm going to add that part, who wears his trousers one size too small. This NJ native had a very Italian nickname, hitting just above the Mendoza line. He had 11 homers in less than 70 games for us.
I raised my hand, but then I tweeted afterwards. I said, "Easy on the Jessica Mendoza line, though." But thank you. I wrote underneath that one. We had a good laugh. We had a good.
I was
laugh
on
there,
that team. Your on base percentage. My guy needs to check out your on base percentage.
Come on,
you might not have gotten some knocks. Come on, I know my guy was hitting some balls hard.
I had a couple biggie knocks. I had a couple biggies. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, yeah. I mean, there still is like an epidemic in baseball where a lot of fans will be like, "This dude only hit 250 this year." I'm like, that's like 15 points above league average. I'm like, yo, batting average ain't what it used to be. You know, people be like, "Oh, he's just a 280 hitter." I'm like, that's top 5. What are you talking about?
Every camp I do now with younger kids, I explain to them. I said, "Listen, people are like, oh, 3 out of 10." I'm like, bro, if you go 2.5 out of 10 now, you're considered a really good ball player. So it's like, dude, just find a way to get a knock here or there. Like work, you know.
Kids still need to hit 500. Look, if you're hitting 300 in high school baseball, sorry, like you still gotta destroy your level. You go to college, you got to destroy that level. You ain't just gonna all of a sudden be like, I became a 300 hitter when I went to the minor leagues. No, like you got to hit.
Part of what makes this show special is that we tell it to you straight. I think this is the first time in probably 50, 60 spring training shows that we've never gotten an actual player from a camp. So good job, Kratz. It's not your fault. But we did get Oli Marmol and appreciate him for coming on. We are on TVs all over the territory that covers the Cardinals, including, of course, the St. Louis area, all over Missouri. And we know some of the players. So there are a lot of people that are going to watch later and be like, what the heck happened? So where are the Cardinals? Did they not show up to camp today? What happened?
I got some yeses. I got some I'll be out there's. I feel like there's a miss. I feel like we don't have a connection somewhere because all of a sudden the door that I'm looking at right past my camera, right over there, was flooded with players. As soon as we started the show, that door has had a dearth of people going through it.
Okay.
Not many at all. Just saying.
So help me out here. Is there 50 media members and 80 different global and national shows set up with sets that are going on TVs and YouTube and millions of podcast downloads? Are they all over the place and they're just going down the line like Radio Row at the Super Bowl? So they just haven't gotten to us yet. Tell me what the scene is nowadays in a big league spring training. Tell me how the coverage is for our sport. Crickets.
I guess we're not trying to sell the rebuild here. You know what, though? But the players were like, dude, I love this show. I love the show. I want to come on. The players were like, I appreciate you asking me. I definitely want to come on. One of the guys, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't want him to get in trouble with somebody else, said, I'll definitely be out there. And anyway, I'm going to stop. I'm not even going to show you my hat today, but you can have an idea because I'm going golfing after this, and I'm not going to wear this hat just so that I don't associate myself with an org that is rebooting and not trying to sell its stars because they have some young stars in there that the conversations I had, I wish you guys could have heard too.
I wish I could have heard those conversations. If only anyone came over and talked to us. Weird. Very weird. It's just a tough sell. I'm spending a few minutes on it. Yes, absolutely. We're not doing Kratz today. We're not giving love there.
Well, now I get to go talk to somebody that is going to be turning this org around, but off camera. You guys will figure it out.
I know who you're talking about. And when you do chat with him, let him know that baseball is a business. And the bosses and stewards of baseball care about money. And the only way to be able to talk to those players that produce the money is to allow them to do interviews and give them a little bit of time to have a conversation. Because what happens is we then talk to those players and they say, I need help. I need my PR staff to help me schedule them because we're on the field, we're running around. So if they can grab me at the right time and have it set up for me during the season, that helps. So most teams, great. Like I mentioned last year, Todd Father's old boys, the New York Mets, literally just went superstar by superstar, sent them into the room, helped us out. We talked to a ton of those guys. Not going to pull any punches here.
Yeah. It helps out the sport. I think that's the biggest thing. Give
and the player
whatever time. Yeah, and the player too. You want to get to know some of these young cats, man. And I think this is the best way to do it.
This isn't Patrick Mahomes who gets 80 calls a day, and he's at the Super Bowl and he's preparing for the game, and he's still doing plenty of interviews. So just trying to point out the differences here and trying to help the sport. It's part of why we're here, is giving more access to people and having real conversations and also opening people up to how cool baseball players are. But we do need just a slice of access when we shell out cash to set this up, fly people down, do the whole deal. Again, Oli Marmol, great. We're going to talk to him throughout the season. We'll talk to other Cardinals players, but we'll get them either ourselves during the year or through their agency. But did our best at Cardinals camp. You're a trooper, Kratz. You're a trooper.
0 for 1. I needed AJ here. AJ gets stuff done. I'm 0 for 1. See how I can do tomorrow.
Okay, the AJ approach is he'll be like, hey, nobody knows who you guys are. Nobody's talking about you. You going to come on the show? And people ask questions all the time, especially on FT Instagram, for example. Like, I guarantee you, if I didn't say what I just said before, there would have been a ton of DMs like, hey, why didn't you get so-and-so? Or people will send in, hey, can you talk to this guy? Can you talk to that guy? I try to be as straightforward as possible. Occasionally, there are personal situations that I can't disclose, but usually someone will be like, hey, can you get Newbar? And I'd be like, we would love to. We've asked Lars. We've asked his representation. Can't get him to come on the show. I know he likes the show, but he just hasn't taken that next step to spend 5 minutes of his life to say hi to the people. So just using him as an example, there are plenty of others, but sometimes people will be like, hey, get this player on. And I'll be like, we asked. We've had 600 something player guest appearances. I want to point out most of the time we're super complimentary. It's awesome. But we've asked almost every relevant name in Major League Baseball to come on the show. And I would say the yes rate is pretty high these days. I mean, 75%, something like that. When you see a guy or talk to a guy, there are a few guys that just don't like doing anything, but I like to just go case by case. Todd Father, like, people said, hey, you got to get Winker when you're at Mets camp. And I wrote back and I was like, probably not going to get him, but can I interest you in like Lindor, Pete, Diaz, etc.? I'm like, Winker's a good interview, but I saw him in New York and he was like, I'm scared of podcasts. And I'm like, we're not a podcast, we're a show. We get more views on TV than whatever TV shows are left that actually talk about baseball all the time. He was just like, nah, I'm worried about how I talk. I'm like, okay, cool. So moving on. But again, just want to give everyone inside access as to how this happens, because we work our freaking asses off to try and get people to come on the show every day.
And that's part of it.
I'll take the blame today.
No.
For what? Get out of here. Why? Because you think you offended people by wearing the Cardinals hat? They're like, you don't know the Cardinals way. Kratz, what are you doing here? You didn't play for St.
Oh,
Louis.
that's what it is. Don't go out there with it backwards. I get it. That's what it was.
No, I'm saying you can't wear it because you weren't a Cardinal. You were a Brewer. You're kind of enemy territory.
That's what it was. That's what we'll blame. That's definitely what we'll blame.
They were like,
I
love FD, but then they whisper, they're like, but I hate Kratz. He had that moment with the Brewers that really pissed me off.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I hit a dinger against Mitchell Boggs back in 2011. They're pissed.
Oh, my God.
The Cardinals have never been the same since then. But anyway, 4th or 5th place team this year. Sorry we couldn't get any of their famous superstars on the team, but we did our best. FT fam, Dustin May's wife is joining Dodgers territory coming up in just a few seconds. So if you want to learn more about, what it's like to kind of help a big league player get through the rehab process, and also just obviously being a wife of a big leaguer, all the questions being asked, going to be fun.